opinions that I'm going to express today is my own, based on my individual experience, and it is not connected to Google, which is my current organization, as well as any of my previous organizations. So just a disclaimer there. Uh, Okay, so I'm sure this soft skill, your soft skill training would have, you will have, a lot of, presentations, around presentation skills, etc. So this is one of the things that I think, we need to always begin with. I want to make sure that, at the end of this, 1 hour session, everyone has a glimpse into what are the basic building blocks to become a great leader. So I don't want to get into the basics of, you shouldn't micromanage, you should be accountable, you should be responsible. So all of those, I think, are very, very essential traits, but I do want to only concentrate on those which differentiates, you becoming a great leader. And the reason why I think we need to start right now is, as you step into the corporate world, from the very first day, there has to be an element of leadership in everything that you do. So it doesn't mean that, maybe you will become a manager 5-6 years or maybe 10 years down the lane. That does not mean that, you need to only start being a leader then. So every single thing that you do, you need to show traits of a great leader in order to one day become one. So it is essential, and I think this is a very great, course to have at this time of your college, career for sure. Okay, so I am going to start with what I think is the mantra of my leadership, or what I perceive leadership as, and I will go through this, and all my slides are only regarding these, right? And what I believe is leadership is all about grace, and I've split that, but grace as a word itself, shows a lot of humility, and I think that is the basis of any leadership. So, a leader, obviously, by virtue of the fact that they became a leader, generally, is someone who is smart, who is well-versed, who is capable, etc., etc. But all of those traits will mean nothing if you do not go about doing your job with grace. So that's why I think it's very, very important for you to start thinking of leadership. Whenever you think that you want to be a leader, you also need to remember that how you got there, and for that, grace becomes a very important trait, and that's what I think. So why grace? So G is gratitude. I'll talk more about each of these and why I think these traits are important, and why I picked these over ahead of so many other traits which generally you would read online for sure. But yeah, G is for gratitude. R is to reset goals. A is acceptance as a general principle. C is care, and E is example. So, and I will get into each of these, but at this point, if anyone has any questions on why I chose grace versus anything else, we can talk about it, or I'll just continue. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So just for the sake of this presentation, so anytime I do ask if there's any question. If there is a 10-second pause, I will assume that there are no questions, and I will continue. Feel free to use the chat chat on the side if you have any questions as well. Yeah. And if you want me to repeat or elaborate something, please go ahead and do that as well. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. Now let's start with grace, right? And I want to start with G as gratitude. And the reason why that is on top of all my list is the fact that a simple thank you can go a very long way in achieving greatness, right? And I'll give you a small anecdote about it. So I had just joined Mu Sigma, and I had a manager there. So he was a newly married manager. He just became a manager, and he was also newly married. And his wife used to work the morning shift. That is, she would go to work at 6 a.m. and come back by 3. Whereas our job, the nature of the job in Mu Sigma was that we would start our day at 9 or 10 o'clock, but it typically ends by 11, 12 o'clock. It was a very, hectic, grueling sort of work, but we learned a lot, and everyone would enjoy. We had a very good time. There was a lot of collaboration, and so we would just go on, and that was the way Mu Sigma life was. But every single day when we would finish our work, he would tell thank you to all of us. Like I mean, it was so diligent. It was like, if, he will tell if 5 of us were working on a particular project, he would say thank you. Thank you for, staying back late and completing the work. A lot of times it could be that, we made a mistake, so we had to redo our work, but he would still say thank you. It doesn't matter that he had to stay back and, potentially lose any family time that he would get with his wife, but he would still say thank you. And what that slowly started doing is that everyone in the team started feeling that, okay, my work is getting recognized, what I'm doing means something. My manager is actually feeling good or feeling that gratitude towards me. So slowly, the team, like all of us, wanted to do something so that he feels the same gratitude towards us. So we started looking for innovative ways to do our projects faster. We stopped making as many mistakes. We stopped taking as many breaks that we would, so that we could finish our work early and he could also go home and he could be thankful. And this actually, obviously the entire team was in very good spirits. It Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, so the morale of the team was very good because they knew that a manager who does not have ego is coming and telling us thank you. It means that you can actually approach that manager at any given point with any issues, right? So it goes a long way in ensuring that the entire team feels as as one, and that we're all looking out for each other. And it is absolutely necessary. So you can be the best person in the world, but once you have, with leadership comes a lot of you have a lot of power, right? And with power comes great responsibility. And for all of this, you need your egos to be in check. And it's not wrong that you suddenly become a leader and you suddenly start to think that your way or the highway. So for just to make sure that you are grounded as well, having this gratitude will help you. And even so this happened to me about 8.5 years back, and I still remember that phase of my life, and I still talk to that manager in my life because of what it instilled in me, right? Like I still remember that because that was such a hard hitting message for me. And I hope that my team also sees the same thing in me. And I think once you all become leaders, that's something that you should know, that there is a fresher out there who will be listening to what you're saying. So as soon as you say thank you, they will know that you have seen them, you have recognized what they're doing, and you appreciate them in a very, very, human to human manner. So yeah, so and that's why I think this is, and rest assured there will be positivity in the team, because everyone is working towards the same goal, right? It's not like the leader or the manager is telling what, you do this, and and then they go away and they don't really care whether how you finished the work. So yeah, so that is gratitude. And yeah, that's the reason why I kept that as the top attribute to have as a leader. Yeah. Any questions?
Yes, I find it very helpful because it changes the relationship between two persons, and it is very, very helpful
Yes.
if we show gratitude.
Yes, and it's not about showing gratitude in one occasion, right? It's not like you show gratitude 6 months once. It is about
No,
every single time you
every
do it.
time,
Yes,
yes,
every time,
yes.
and so because they know that it's not something you're telling because because someone has told you that you need to you need to have gratitude as a virtue, right? It is about you being that person who recognizes and knows that your thank you has a value. Because as soon as you,
And
yeah, yes,
make it a habit. No?
yes, yes, yes. It has to be a habit. It has to come from within, and it has to be a habit. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Cool. So yeah, I think that's, and this is not just true for in a corporate world, right? I think in all relationships this is going to come in handy, and being a leader in every walk of life is important, and that will what will translate into what you do in the corporate world finally. So I think it's something that you can start to practice today in your friends group, in your, let's say you have a team project, your college project, you work with 4 or 5 people. It doesn't matter where it is, as long as you're working with someone, you can actually show this and start building that habit as a muscle in you, so that once you actually start working in this professional world, it becomes something that you do and not something that you have to learn to do. Yeah. Cool. I'm assuming that, I'm not going too fast. So let me know if I need to just slow down or if you have any questions. Uh, I hope it can be, interactive. So I want to try and keep this as engaged as possible. Being a mother of two, this pandemic has taught me that I need to, you know, engage my kids, in very innovative ways. And I hope that I can try and bring some of that here as well, because, I know it's much easier when you're in a classroom, but, the situation is that, and this demands, and this is, like Doctor said, it gives an opportunity for people around the world to actually come and talk to you. So, just feel free to raise your hand, or, just ping on the chat if you have any comments as well. So, yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So the next one, reset goals. Now this is a little bit. I'm going to try and make it as as simple as possible, because I might tend to talk to many. So once you join any organization, and a lot of time you are in this. You might be in projects which requires a client, right? Like you are in a service kind of an environment, or you might be working with someone. And at the end of the day, we all know that the world is constantly changing. Change is the only constant, which means that the work you do today, you might have spent like, 1 year building one product, and suddenly that product becomes completely irrelevant, and you just need to adapt. You cannot, as a leader, you cannot be sitting and saying that, what, I spent so much time thinking about it, my entire team works so much on it, I will go and push this product forward whether somebody uses or not. So that can never be the attitude of a good leader. So a good leader is one who knows that, yes, I have set my goals, but if that goals become irrelevant because like COVID happened, right? Like the pandemic happened, it means that all the plans that your lecturers maybe had for this year, they need to make some adjustments to it. And that is what I mean by reset goals. So you need to be prepared that change is the only constant. Now, how do you even reset this goal? And how do when to actually change the goal that you have set? And that is where your continuous learning mindset comes in. So you need to be constantly aware of what your team is doing. You need to be constantly aware of where the world is going. You need to be constantly aware of what your competitors are doing. So as a leader, that becomes an essential recipe in order for you to actually reset your goals. So, being a subject matter expert, obviously is essential, but asking questions to both your client, to your team, to your peers is very important. But as a whole, you need to be prepared for change. You need to know that, you might have had a goal, you might have completed 80% of that, but after 80%, you might just need to completely reset everything that you have done. But as a leader, you should lead from the front. You cannot allow, your feeling of, oh my God, what will happen, get in the way of actually solving the problem. So, uh, so this is again one of the very, very important traits that you need to be prepared that, today you might be working on one thing, tomorrow you might have to work a completely different thing. So you need to start assessing what's going to happen. You need to, try and understand what this new change is going to imply to the entire team, do the necessary risk assessment, and then go back to the team with the goal that you have actually, reset. So obviously, setting a goal is very, very important, and that's something that you would need to do, but also being prepared to reset some of those goals. And I'll give an example here of, one of my very, very first senior managers. So we were working on a product called product for optimizing items, like, when what you put on the shelf in a retail store, right? And it was a very, very high profile project, and for a year we built a product. But at the end of it, the client mentioned that he could not get a buy-in, and that, all that we have done cannot be used. Now, my manager had two options, right? Or, in fact, it was my manager's manager. So our entire group's leader had two options. One is just accept what the client has told and move on, or, he knows the goal is for people to use what we have created, but he reset that, saying that, what, we will not try and sell that product. We will look for other ways to actually use what we have already created. So he split the entire, team into 4 different groups. And then he said each group to concentrate on one smaller aspect of the bigger product. And we ended up selling each of these small four independently to different clients. Now, so why this is very important is he was not rigid of saying that I will only sell the product that I built. He was completely okay to look at it from a different lens because he knew that things have changed and we have to work with that change. He knew that now people are not willing to listen to someone just say that this is what you need to do. People want to get reasons, and people don't want to take as much risks as as they were previously willing to take. Now, this is, I know that I didn't give too many details here, but because of confidentiality, I will not be able to tell you exactly what happened. But I think that was one of the key learnings for me from that manager, that it does not matter that you have been you had set a goal and you have been planning and preparing for it for so long. He was willing to reset that, and he did not let that disappointment show to us as the team, because once you start showing that disappointment, or that shows that you are not confident as a leader. It also shows that you are not in touch with what is happening with reality, which means that you're not actually continuously learning. So having a learning mindset is extremely important at all ages, right? It doesn't, even today, at 65, my father is now learning how to start creating decks using Microsoft. At 65 he's learning how do you actually book cabs and everything online instead of at 65 he wants to learn how to do everything from home rather than going out at all for anything. So it doesn't matter at what age you are. So having that continuous mindset is going to help, and that is an absolute important trait of a leader, because unless you know what you're doing and you continuously learn, you will not be able to reset the goal. Because what resetting of goals also inherently means is that what you previously had 1 year to achieve, you now have 2 months to achieve, which means you need to innovate. You need to look at which are the things that you don't have to do, and only concentrate on what's important. So for all of that, you need to know what you're doing, and for that you need to continuously learn. You need to absolutely be sure that whatever decisions you're going to take is going to have a positive impact. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Yes. We are all learning.
Yes. That's true. I think for sure the education world has learned so much. I see so much innovation in the way even my daughter's school, what they are doing. I see teachers using Microsoft OneNote in ways that I did not know that you can use that. As as someone who used Microsoft products, now we use all Google products. But then the fact that the schools are willing to actually take that extra step shows their learning mindset and wanting to do the best for the for their students, right? And I think and that's where true leadership comes up, right? You have a problem, you've decided on what you want to do, but the problem changes, which means that you need to then adapt yourself to the new problem. And here what I mean is, the problem is obviously in this case teaching a bunch of students online, right? So yeah. Okay. I'm going to give it like a pause and see if anyone has or if you want to just share any anecdotes or anything that you had gone ahead and experience, that is also welcome to share. I'm sorry, I know that you're sometimes seeing my side because I have two screens and I'm just looking at you on the left, so it doesn't mean I'm not seeing everyone. So yeah. Okay, so okay.
Yes, ma'am. This is Nivedita Bhattacharya from Shyama Prasad College. No, I just had an observation, because in college, one big teamwork that happens is for NAC. And that is the time we actually get to see. NAC is National Accreditation and Assessment Committee, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the whole thing. So under that, every UGC will marks every college as A or B or whatever, and we are graded. Now, of course, the system has changed, but NAC itself requires a lot of teamwork, because every aspect is covered. And over there, the IQAC coordinator, that is Internal Quality Assurance Cell, the coordinator is the leader. And I have had I've had this opportunity, or I'll say misfortune, of having to be the convener, not during NAC itself, but becoming the coordinator for about three years. The worst thing is that forget about accepting that something has failed or something has done. It's just getting people to do their share of work in a team.
Mm. Yes,
So
I think.
that itself is a big challenge for the leader, I think.
Yes, yes, I think that's very very true, right? And I think that's where planning very ahead, sort of helps. Right? And I can talk about that a little bit as well. But at the end of the day, I think there is this common goal that everyone has, right? Like you just mentioned about NAC, like everyone wants to get that accreditation, but each one will have to do smaller tasks. And a lot of times, I think it becomes difficult for people to understand how their small task will impact that overall goal. So that connection of this to that sometimes is difficult for a student to try and try and understand. So I think that is something that you could probably try to make sure that everyone understands what the common goal is. But I completely understand, there is always, I think it just takes one person within the team who may not be willing to put in the work that is required. So and that can actually percolate to the entire team, right? So I can actually give some examples of how we have handled such situation. Probably not, I don't know if it will directly, imply in the in this scenario, but so generally, whenever we find that there is one or two people who are not pulling their weight, so to speak, a lot of times it just takes conversation, right? Taking them into a room and trying and understand why they are not doing what they're not doing, and that will come my next thing is about right, caring. So because there are times when people will just not do, but there are also times where people do not understand what their role is. They are not very sure, if what they're doing is going to actually have an impact, or they could just have some completely different personal problems. So you as a leader, I think that, understanding that can also help. But I mean, I know that the situation is completely different, in a corporate world, you are expected to do that, whereas this is, I think, over and above what they generally study. It's a very tricky situation, but I think, having that conversation, an open conversation with people to make them understand how it ties to the overall goal, I think might, help, ma'am. That's my one, you know, one small suggestion that I
I
might
think
have.
preparation,
Yeah.
Ranjini, preparation for a particular goal is very important. If you prepare for 1 long year for NAC, then it becomes easier. But the preparation is very important for these types of goals.
Yes, and also again, I think going back to that resetting of goals, you might have started the year, preparing. In the middle, you might have to adjust a little bit of your, of what you're prepared, because there might be some uh, uh, new thing that has come up and you want to include that as well. But in all of these cases, having that conversation with the entire team will surely help. Having that check-in and making sure that everyone knows that if they don't do their part of the work, what is the impact that it's going to create on that overall goal. So I think that particular connection is what a lot of times we see, is missing, and that could be what is causing them not to do their, share of work. I think, yeah. But yeah, preparation is, obviously absolutely necessary. I think I was part of, I heard Michelle Obama speak once, and she said that, you just do not have a choice to come unprepared. So there is, it's just not a choice. As a leader, you need to be prepared. You don't have a choice to come unprepared. And I felt that was very hard hitting line, that you just do not have a choice to be unprepared. So Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Another just observation, Ranjini,
Hmm.
that is in your the kind of corporate world that you come from, there is a basic work ethics which is unfortunately missing from the kind of educational institutions we come across. And what Madam Nivedita was pointing
Yeah.
out is such a pertinent thing, because being a NAC coordinator, she has to do all the kinds of work which all other people have not been doing, and to bring them all under the thing, and to think that this NAC thing is kind of a for the qualitative improvement of the educational institution. But we don't think it like that. We think that it's the coordinator and we all go off to sleep, and the coordinator is also all set to do all the kind of dirty work. So
Yeah.
this is a very pertinent thing, and which is actually lacking, and maybe that is why UGC is giving so much of stress on this soft skill development kind of a thing, so that we learn from the corporate world to how to conduct ourselves.
Yeah. So more than anything, right, I think the work ethic that you spoke about, very often folks who did not show that in college, they may not be as successful in the corporate world as well, because work ethic doesn't happen overnight, right? It's something that you have to inculcate during, when you are in college or when you are in school. Anytime it requires you to, work with one other person, work ethic needs to, be built, right? And I think such conferences will make folks try and understand that, because we have seen in the corporate world a lot of folks who are very, very smart fail because they did not think it was essential for them to be part of a team. They felt that they were good enough to either be alone or, I have, we have had one very, very interesting case of someone who was a topper in college, topper in school, all the, whatever you, expect, one of the best students to be. But when they joined New Sigma in 6, 7 months, they were asked to leave, simply because it does not, no corporate would appreciate someone who has done a really good job in their work but are not able to work along with the team. Because one single person, the value that they can add is always lower than the collective value that you can add as a team. So, and that's, I think, you more and more in this modern era of how corporates are viewed, it is very, very important that, you understand that you are not the only, everyone is replaceable in the corporate world, right? Like no one is, no one can assume that their job no one else can do. Everyone is, replaceable. Maybe initially, and that's what I'll talk about, except, done is better than perfect, because at the end of the day, having 100% perfect output versus 95% perfect output, the 5% is not going to make as much, is not going to make a difference. So it doesn't really matter. What the difference of it is, if the attitude of that person is not going to be great, a corporate will always choose to take the 95% person over 100% person. So I think what you were absolutely right. The term work ethic that you mentioned, and it has to be inculcated from very beginning. And this, like, the soft skill training and the importance of your body language, importance of communicating what you actually mean, and the importance of knowing that you, when you're working as a team, each of you need to contribute, each of you need to exhibit that leadership quality. There can be one leader. Obviously we need one person to take strong decisions, we need one person to be responsible, but everyone is accountable. So I don't know if if I can just explain what responsibility and accountability is different, right? Responsible means at the end of the day, one person will have to take the complete ownership of the project, but every person is accountable. So it does not matter that it is just it is just that leader, right? Because at the end of the day, when any work gets done, it's not the leader alone who gets recognized, and any leader who does that is not a good leader, right? I think APJ Abdul Kalam, told once in his speech about his very first rocket launch, which failed miserably, and his boss actually went ahead and took that particular, if Abdul Kalam was the manager, he should have done the press conference, but his boss told, "You don't go, I will go." And then the next time, when it was actually launched successfully, he asked Abdul Kalam to go ahead with the press conference, and that is a hallmark of a true leader, right? So no leader will want to take up all the. I'm sure Nivedita ma'am, once NAC goes very well, she's going to give that, to everyone in the team. So I think if one wants to receive it, one should also give the same for it. And I think we cannot stress enough how important it is to, again, work ethic needs to become a habit. It cannot be something that you can get up tomorrow and, just get it, just because you joined a corporate and someone is paying you now to be, because it's very easy for people to pick up that you're being fake. Right? Being authentic is very, very important. That means that it needs to come from within, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think, it goes very nicely to my next topic of accept. I think being a leader, ma'am, what she just said, right? Like, your team will fail. You will have people who will not have the same opinion as yours. You will have people who will want to do something that is going to probably in 6 months down the lane help the team, but today it might cost you your deliverable. All of that does not matter. At the end of the day, you need to know that you need to get the job done. So it may not be perfect, and you might need to make compromises. I want to give an example of my another great leader whom I follow. So during this pandemic, he had a team of 5, and of that, 3 people were COVID positive at the same time. You had one person whose parents was COVID positive, and another person whose parents had other typhoid and other comorbidities, because of which they were in the hospital. Which means that the entire team was, suffering from one or the other. As a leader, he could have done 2 things. One is he could have just told the client that, we will get it done somehow and force the people to work. But he did not do that. He took up the accountability on his own. Of the 5 projects, he mentioned that 3 projects may not be done. The 2 projects that had to go out because it will mean that a lot of things will not, get, these are client facing, right? So many millions of users might get impacted. So he picked only the 2 projects which will have immediate impact. And he made sure that only up to the point of it passing the bare minimum was done. So you could have easily forced, a person whose father was not well, and the 2 people whose parents were not well to can you just give me 1 minute? Yeah, the joys of working from home. Just give me a minute. Yeah, sorry, that was my daughter wanting to just be part of the discussion as well. So it's very easy for a leader to push their team to just get it done because they are themselves not okay. But I think what he did was actually to plan really well, reset the goals, set expectations right, and accept the fact that everything cannot be done. So as long as things are done to a bare minimum, it may not be perfect because of the situations there is. So, and hence I think being, having that attitude to accept and, accept that it is okay for his team to, have difference of opinion. It's okay for the team to fail once in a while. I made him a better leader, and I think that's something that I want to be able to do as well when I'm put in such a situation. So, yeah. Now, the next one is care, and this is, I think, of all the different attributes that I spoke about, which is very, very dear to me. And this is sort of like my, one-line summary of what I think leadership should be. Like, nobody cares how much you know unless they know how much you care. So as a leader, care might seem like a cliche term. Care might seem like, why should, I'm here to do a job. Why am I talking about care? But because everyone needs to be recognized as a human, right? Like, everyone wants to know that someone is actually, caring for you, caring for your career. They're not doing it just for their own career. So if a leader comes across as someone who is asking the team to do something so that they can move ahead in their career, it's a leader who is destined to fail, right? So a leader is someone who needs to care for the entire team's overall growth, the team's career growth. And that could also mean that they might have some pain in the short term, but you should be willing to, put your team first. That genuine care of telling that, what, it's okay. If today is your anniversary, go ahead. I will finish up the work for you. That is very, very essential, because tomorrow when you need them to work for the weekend, they will do that without feeling the pressure of having to do it. They will do it because you have asked them to do it. And that's where care becomes such an important, trait. It makes everyone in the team believe that you are working towards a common goal. Everyone in the team believes that, this job is not just a job, right? It is a way of life, and we need to live it a certain way. So, it seems simple enough, but as you enter into a corporate world and you have these competing priorities, you have your manager who's expecting something, you have your client who has other expectations, and then you have people in the team who have a different set of expectations. So you are always caught in the middle, and when you're caught in the middle, the decisions that you take will impact how your relationship is and how the team is going to go for a long time. And hence, you need to remember that having the teams, having the team in mind and the welfare of the team in mind when you make every decision actually will make sure that the team works twice as much better. It is going to help, at the end of the day, people are who matter. So if you need to move one person from one project to another because that person really has this inclination towards whatever the other project is working on, you might actually have to do more work in the short term till you can find a replacement, but you should be willing to do that. What it does is, one, this person's career is going to continue because it's not just about this project, right? That person has like 20, 25 years of career to look for. And second is, your other members in the team will see that you are taking decisions not for the welfare of yourself, but for the welfare of the team as a whole. So it is extremely important as a leader to know and show that you care, because you might be the smartest person in the room, but unless you also care equally, no one is going to actually take in what you're saying, and you will not be able to inspire someone if they don't believe that you're not working for the well-being of everyone in the team. Yeah. So that's, I think, where I have had a couple of my team members who moved to other teams but who have come in and helped me over the weekends, because they know that at the end of the day, I do care for them as individuals and I do care for their career growth, and hence they want to help me with my career even when I don't ask them. And I think that's important to form those relationships. And as you enter the corporate world, you will start identifying people with whom you are able to have that bond. And once you have that bond, it requires work. You need to be able to, I'm not going to say it's a give and take policy, but you need to show them you care so that they can show you that they care, and you actually help out each other. Because no one knows everything, right? There is always something for which you need to ask someone else. So as a leader, you are going to have to ask your team, you are going to have to ask your manager, your peers. So unless you have actually exhibited that, quality of being someone who actually cares, it is very difficult for others to want to help you. Some of them will help you because that's what their job's mandate is, but they would not want to help you. And I think that's a very precarious situation to be in. So, it's a very important trait. Last is example. I think we spoke about that, Nivedita ma'am, and I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't catch your name, but we spoke about, being the example, right? You need to be the example of what your team needs to be. A good leader always leads by example. You need to be prepared. Like ma'am said, you need to prepare right from the start. You cannot be unprepared. There is just no choice. You need to challenge yourself. You cannot take up, jobs that are very easy and ask the team to, stretch above and beyond. That's not the hallmark of a good leader. They need to know that you are pushing yourself as much as others are pushing you. And, this is a very something that I learned very recently, that there's always this small gap of being authentic versus doing the right thing. A lot of times, when you're like, let's say someone does something to your team, you get angry and you believe that you need to show that anger to people, right? Like, you want to, I'm feeling really bad, someone did something to my team, I need to show that anger, but that's not going to solve the problem. So as a leader, you need to, whatever is your feeling about a certain problem needs to be kept aside so that you can actually solve the problem. And that is where you set a good example, that you're always there to solve the team's problem. And you're going to show the team as well how to solve problems. And for that, you need to be prepared, you need to have that growth mindset, you need to have all of those traits that you spoke about when we began this, this talk, right? You need to be able to, set that example for the team. So that is where my, you know, and making strong decisions, obviously, decisions which could hurt you in the short term, you should be willing to take as well. You might have to say no to certain people, but showing them why you said no and having that good reasons of why you said no will teach your team to actually prioritize better as well. So, leading by example obviously is, I've given that as a last slide because it is the E in that, but it is equally important, and it sort of summarizes everything that we spoke about to begin with. So yeah, that's my, I know we have like 15 minutes, but I just wanted to say that, when you're, this is one quote which it sort of strikes a chord to me that, when you're going to handle yourself, use your, use your mind, but when you're handling others, you have to use your heart, because 80, in order to be a good leader, you need to be a good manager as well. So 80% of leadership is about being able to manage oneself and others really well, and 20% is to make sure that you're actually getting the work done. So it is very, very important for you to have that human aspect to leadership and to make sure that the work gets done the way that it has to get done, in the right way. Yeah. So yeah, my bad attempt at a humor. So I can answer questions as long as it's not related to Google. Yeah. I know it was a very big monologue. I apologize for that, but yeah, any questions, anything that you would want to discuss?
Yes, do you think that a leader should have a dream? Because I think a leader must have a special type of eye, or special thinking mode that is different from other team members. So that she can lead on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having that vision of where you want the team to go is absolutely, is essential. And so let me put it this way, right? So you have this company, you have, the company that you work for, which has a vision. Then you have the department that you work for, which has a subset of that vision. And then you have your team, right? So as a leader, it's very important to identify the vision, but it's also important for you to align your vision with the overall, company as well. So I think understanding that it's not just about you, and it has to be what is the best for the company is also, should also be included when you think of that vision for the team. But yes, yeah. How to disagree politely. That's a nice, I think more than politely is it's a given that everyone needs to respect everyone, right? So it doesn't matter at what level. So you need to tell everything. When agreeing and disagreeing politely is important, but anytime you disagree, what I found very useful is to first of all, if someone is making a counter argument to you, I think you need to first recognize the aspects of that counter argument which has some relevance. So dismissing someone completely is not going to help you build that, build that relationship, right? So you need to be able to first see what is, at least a few few aspects of that argument which you could consider, and then you can go about giving your point of view on why you disagree. I think understanding before you disagree with someone, please make sure that you know why you're disagreeing, and you are taking that extra 10 minutes to explain why you disagree with them. It doesn't matter if they are like 10 years younger than you. It doesn't matter if they are like if it's a 5-year-old child. Everyone deserves an explanation. And I think that's the only way to disagree. When you disagree with someone, you need to give them exactly reasons why you disagree. Start with, once you join a corporate world, you need to start with some points which you agree to as well. Or if you completely disagree with everything that person is saying, then go ahead. But if you do agree, at least to some parts of it, please make sure you start with that, good, bad, ugly sort of, way, and then explain why you disagree. I think that is, and have it as a conversation rather than a decision.
Another thing, just wanted to say is that regarding this disagreement, just like Ubalidi was saying that you need to be prepared, you need to have a vision to become a leader. Similarly, for any kind of disagreement, or if you want to initiate a kind of a teamwork, I think the basic thing is that to be more human in your approach from the first day itself, to encourage little bit of things, to encourage or to share some of the responsibilities. Then only you will say kind of make a ground where you can again disagree with a person, just
Yeah.
like in normal relationship we generally don't agree on all the points, but it's not that we always have to fight. We
Yeah.
can
Correct.
disagree, but we can carry on about.
Yeah. So there is one jargon that corporate generally is conflict, conflict resolution. So we don't say that it's disagreeing politely. It's conflict resolution, which is seems like an oxymoron, but I think the mindset is to arrive at some sort of agree to disagree sort of a plane. That should be the mindset when you enter into an argument. You cannot enter into that argument saying that what, I'm going to prove them that my point is right, and we go out of this room, because their point 4 days later could actually come true because of the way that things are changing. So you need to always keep that that open for sure. Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. um, any other questions?
Any other questions, participants?
Hello, yes, ma'am. Good afternoon again. Again, continuing on the same note that I had started regarding IQC and NAC, what happens sometimes the leader himself or herself might feel like a failure, and then tends to give up and becomes a. Now I know that in the corporate sector that there is your promotion, your increment, everything is linked between. If you're a team leader and you say no, I don't want to be a team leader, I want to just be a part of the team. But in our case, that is not the same. It's not the same. You are a committee convener. You can say tomorrow, well, I can't lead and I can. So you kind of, when you can't get people to work, when you can't deliver what is expected, you feel like a failure. So how do you get out of that? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Actually, I'm sorry I'm taking Michelle Obama too many times, but she says that she's one of my role models. So, to be a great leader. So, I've heard her say that failure is a failing long before it actually becomes a result. So I think that, fear of failure is going to be there with respect with everyone, right? And especially, especially when you are holding a position which you need to hold, right? It's not something that is organically coming to you. I think it what I want to say is everyone has that feeling, right? Like everyone from top to down has that fear of failure. There is no doubt about that, and I think that fear is before the actual thing that happens. But one thing that we need to know is failure is what is going to teach us the best. So 2 times you fail, third time you will not fail. But more than that, I think being prepared and knowing and feeling that you are prepared, you are actually prepared, having that feeling of being prepared is going to surely help a long way. And that's not a feeling that will go overnight, right? But then just making that making sure that you are preparing more than what you normally would in a normal circumstance will help you overcome that. So it's sort of like an imposter syndrome, right? Like everyone feels that I don't deserve this position that I've been given, and that's very common. That's a common feeling. So the only way that we can get over that is to actually do it and be prepared while doing it. And third, even if you fail, you know that you have done the best that you can. So next time you'll fear little less. So as long as you're prepared, and failure will not have as much impact as you fail and then you feel like you have not prepared enough. So I think that's to me the way that I'm approaching my my leadership, because even today I don't know, I do feel like my team obviously is smarter than me, and I do feel like I could fail, but but I think, I just prepare a lot. I start at least an hour earlier than the rest of the team. I do try to, read more. I'm always, even before a meeting, I generally prepare much more than what the rest of the team will prepare. And I think, and that is slowly helping me with that fear. So that is the only thing that I can help. Yeah.
I have I have an opinion. One of I learned it from an administrator. He said that as a leader, when you are giving some job to a person, see that he's capable a little lower than his capability. Give the amount of job that you are giving to a person, it must not go beyond his capability. That will make the person that feel that he cannot do it, and he will just leave the job. So yeah, as a leader must find the limit of the capability of the jobs that are given to his team members. That is very important. He or she must know the capability of the members, and then he can give that job according to their capabilities. That is very important to finally make the project run.
Yeah, and there is one more point to that as well, Doctor. I think, absolutely, you're spot on. But I think there is also a small section of people who needs to be challenged more. So I think as a leader, you need to understand whom you're leading. Of the 4 people, 3 people, exactly what, like Dr. Publi said, you need to make sure that you do not give them more than what they can handle, and it might just break, right? I have seen freshers who are very capable, but their leads would have pushed them so much that they just ended up quitting. So absolutely, but there could also there will be now and then people who will needs to be challenged. So I think as a leader, you need to try and understand your team really well, so that you know who you should not push and what is the level you can push a certain person, for sure. And I think having that understanding of what is the capacity a person can handle is very, very important as a leader. Yes. True. I had just one more, just one slide which I think is very, very important. And we do have students in the group, right? Like there are students. I hope you just, if nothing at all, you do this, that as soon as you enter an organization, or even before that, look for mentors. Always be on the lookout for people whom you will look up to, because imitation is the best form of flattery, and it is the easiest way to learn. So you would have heard me talk about multiple people. All of them are my leaders, managers, my analysts, my senior analysts, etc. So please make sure that when you join an organization, or even in the college, you actually look for people whom you can learn from. Look for people who are mentors, and nothing at all, just imitate what they're doing. That will help you build that muscle to be a great leader. So, that if, nothing at all, I hope that, you remember that imitation is the best form of flattery. So find yourself few good mentors, and, you will be great leaders of tomorrow. That's what I want.
Orpita is a research scholar. She is talking that we are here also. For the research scholars, I think it is very important that all the mentors who are in different parts of the world, they ask for references for the qualities that a student, when a student goes for a postdoc, they give some forms, and they ask for how the student is in its leadership quality. They always ask for leadership qualities, and it is very, very important for a research scholar to work with the teammates, and work with teammates, and with caring attitude, helping attitude, and leadership quality. These are very, very important qualities for a research scholar in his or her lab, because there are lab mates, and they should work with their lab mates and they ask for these qualities throughout the world. All the scientists, when a student goes from India, they ask for these qualities. So it
Yeah,
is very
yeah.
important for them also.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, yeah, it's very, very important, as you work and, and all your mentors, I think you should try and, talk to them about their experiences, all of their stories can help you, you know, all the qualities that I spoke about, I'm sure they'll speak, something similar, and that will sort of help you internalize what it means to be a leader and what it means to actually work as part of a team, and which will in turn help you once you start, entering into this professional world, right? Yeah, absolutely. Cool. I know that we have just a minute, so if anyone has any, last minute thoughts, suggestions, I do want to thank, the university for giving me this opportunity. It's been, have, I know this last 1 hour, I did talk a lot, but it's very insightful. It helped me rethink, think about all of these anecdotes, which makes me why I, sometimes I think why, who am I as a leader, and this, talk and just putting together my experiences sort of helped me as well, as much as it's helping you. So, I hope that it helps you. So I really, I wish you all the best, and I hope everyone stays safe. Follows the protocols for COVID, and I really hope that the world becomes a better place for our kids. Yeah.
Pleasure was on our side, ma'am. It was so nice to hear to you. Because you come from a absolutely different world, and ours is an